Hey guys, back again, soldering, and making this video just to get better at our soldering skills and give you more tips for your final design so that it comes out as absolutely perfect as we possibly can get it. So first things first, I have my design. I made a little guitar, and I'm not leaving the paper underneath it this time. I think last time the paper kind of burned and got on the solder a little bit, so I'm going to skip the paper. Got a clean piece of cardboard out. I've pinned everything in. This withstands the jiggle test. I know I pinned everything in really well. And already I'm going to give you one tip to fix the whole pinning situation last time. I saw quite a few people come in and put pins all around all the pieces like this, okay? Now this doesn't really make sense because I need to get in here with the soldering iron and this pin is getting in my way. So you only pin the outsides of your piece, not the insides. It gets in our way, guys. Alright, next tip is make sure that my iron is ready to go. I think some of us have been grabbing the irons a little too quickly. I have my hand kind of like hovering over my iron right now, like 6 inches above my iron, and I can feel the heat coming off of it, so I know it's hot. And that'll allow me to melt my solder really efficiently. Before, I think it's been like kind of going a little slow when the solder doesn't want to melt yet, and it's just making everything a little bit more messy. So my iron is nice and hot. Okay, I have my flux. Okay, and I have my sponge so I can clean off my iron. And remember, I always have to apply flux, otherwise my solder will not stick. So I'm going to start with a few seams. Okay. And I always put more flux as I'm going along, just to make sure that it's on there. Okay, I have plenty of flux. Make sure everything is well fluxed. So I'm going to show you a couple ways on how to solder again. So, okay, I got my iron and it's looking pretty dirty. So I'm going to make sure and go to my sponge and make sure that it looks a lot more clean like that. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the solder to the iron and the iron down to the copper foil, and then I'm going to let a bead drip off, okay? And remember, the flux is there. The flux will help pull the solder off the iron. Otherwise, this happens, okay? You do this, and the solder just kind of sticks to the iron. Doesn't want to come off. The flux helps pull it off. See, it doesn't really want to drip off that much. Well, it's starting to right there, but still not good, okay? So, solder to iron, iron to copper foil. And I'll do a little bead like that, okay? And then if I really wanted to, I can kind of come in and spread it out a little bit. But this isn't my favorite way to do this. This will take a long time if I'm dropping beads all over the place. So I'll show you an even faster way. Okay? I can come in and do this whole seam right here, just by moving my hands a little bit, okay? So I'm going to do solder to iron and iron to copper foil, and I'm just going to move it right along that entire seam, and it'll get it all at once for me. And now that's done, okay? And I know a little drop kind of came off of here, but that's okay. I can just remelt it. And as long as I fluxed it, the solder will know where to go. It'll follow that flux. I will do this again, okay? So I'm going to flux this little seam right here, okay? And I'm just going to move it, make sure that my iron is clean. Right now it's not, so I'm just going to go and wipe it on the sponge, okay? Solder to iron and iron to copper foil. And we just move it along just like that, okay? I could do this really quickly. Turn off my iron. Okay, so there we go. Got it. Now, I will remind you about how to tin the edges, okay? So once everything is attached together, then I can come in and move those pins. Remember, all this stuff on the inside will be nice and silver, but then the outside still has that copper look. So that's not ideal. We want it to all look silver so that it all matches. We like to match. I'm going to clean off my iron. Okay. And remember that even when tinning, you still have to flux. Okay. And I'm going to stress as much as I can this time that all I need is a tiny little smidgen of solder in order to tin the edges. I just need the tiniest little bit of it. So what I've been seeing is I've been seeing people running beads of solder and wasting so much solder. You just need a tiny little smidgen. If I see anybody doing this, oh my goodness, I don't know, I might haunt your dreams. I might like chase after you with I don't know what, but something smelly. Just don't do that to me, because you're wasting your solder and you're going to waste your money. You're going to have to buy more for me. So instead, what you could do is you probably have little beads of solder just chilling on the board over here. Or there's also like this bowl of like random solder beads I have. You can grab a couple of these if you want. You could probably tin your entire piece with just a couple of those beads. So what I'm going to do is I already fluxed my edges, and all I'm going to do is like quickly touch a little bit of solder. Look how quickly and easily I did that. All I needed was a smidgen. Okay, so again, none of this. Do not run beads. Just I'll do it again. Look, tin out. Okay, flex these edges. Oh hey, hello, Mr. Bead. Okay, ma'am. Melt a tiny little bit. Done. I'm good. Okay, I'm gonna stop the video and I'm gonna finish soldering my piece, and then probably flip it over and show you some tips for doing the other side. Okay.